Good morning, dear students of class 10, Kendra Vidyalaya number 4, Bhubaneswar. It's Arvind Sahu, PGT Economics, Kendra Vidyalaya number 4, before you, to teach you the lesson Nationalism in India. In our previous class, we have already discussed that how the First World War helped in shaping Indian freedom struggle movement. Also, how this World War economically destroyed our economy that we have discussed. In our last class, we have discussed the concepts of Satyagraha, where Satya means truth, Satya plus Agraha means search of truth or desire for truth. Here, a Satyagrahi tries to inflict pain on the opponent by bearing physical pain on self. Generally, here, a Satyagrahi is not a weak person, rather, a Satyagrahi is a superior person who can bear the pain, physical pain on self and trying to knock the inner conscience of the opponent. Such an instrument can only be operated by a person with high motivation, high moral power. That is why Satyagrahis are the strongest of all. So Gandhiji came to India in the year 1915. After coming to India, Gandhiji started a series of events. So in 1916, Gandhiji started Champaran movement. Here, due to typographical error, it has been mentioned as 1917. Please correct it as 1916. 1916, Gandhiji started Champaran movement, where Gandhiji went to Champaran in Bihar in support of the indigo farmers, where the farmers were protesting against the British. In 1917, Gandhiji started the Kheda Satyagraha, the Satyagraha that was Gandhiji supported for the peasants of Kheda for relaxation of a tax owing to poverty and poor condition of crop output. In 1918, Gandhiji organized the third Satyagraha, that is Ahmedabad Satyagraha, in support of the cotton mill workers. So, till now we have discussed the Rowlatt Act, how this unjust act united the people of India. People came on road, which led to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre by the British officer General Dyer. The next event that we have studied is a non-cooperation movement in the year 1920. Actually, in December 1920, the Congress session of Kolkata was held, where non-cooperation movement was adopted. With this, non-cooperation movement started, and this non-cooperation movement continued till 1922, when Gandhiji called off due to the incidents of Chauri Chora, where the police persons were burnt inside the police station by the violent mob. Of course, with this, Gandhiji called off the non-cooperation movement for various reasons that, as we have discussed earlier, this non-cooperation movement was closed and it was a failure. Then we have studied about the arrival of Simon Commission to assess the outcomes of Government of India Act 1919. And in 1929, Lahore Congress session started. Until now, after this departure of Simon Commission from India to London, the British Crown only agreed to grant India a dominion status under the British flag. Here, the two factions of Congress, the moderates and the extremists, the moderates were in support of accepting the dominion status and were ready to participate in the constitutional process, whereas many leaders were not ready to accept such a half-hearted dominion status. So Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose are some of the leaders who disagreed. And the Congress session of 1929 was held at Lahore under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, where Purna Swaraj was taken as the aim of our freedom movement. And 26 January 1930 was decided as the day of our independence, and it was observed with flag hosting. And after this, civil disobedience movement was to be started. So Mahatma Gandhi incorporated maximum demand all across the societies, demand of various categories of people, in order to bring everyone under this movement. And while deciding this, Gandhiji placed 11 demands to the British on 11th March, but his demands were less heard. So Gandhiji started the civil disobedience movement on 12th March 1930. A question is here, why this march or this civil disobedience movement is so nomenclated? Why it is a civil disobedience movement? Why nothing else? Why this is called a salt march? Actually, there are two types of laws, the criminal laws and the civil laws. Here, Gandhiji proposed to defy all those laws that are coming under civil laws, like defying the forest law, which prohibited the tribals from entering into the jungle to collect the forest produces, even the wood for fuel, like payment of taxes on salt, all this comes under civil laws. So making salt was also banned. Someone, if making salt, would be booked under civil laws. So to defy all these civil laws, Gandhiji gave a call to the people that disobey all the civil laws. That is the reason this movement is called a civil disobedience movement. हिंदी में बोलते हैं सविनय सवज्ञा आंदोलन. अब इसको सॉल्ट मार्च क्यों कहा जा रहा है? Actually, Gandhiji wanted to unite people all across the country, and for that he needed a common cause which can unite people from different strands, whether rich, poor, backward, forward, or from any community or caste. So he found this power in salt. Irrespective of your background, we all are consuming salt, and it was under the British monopoly power to make salt, to price salt, and to tax salt. So Gandhiji decided to inaugurate this civil disobedience movement by making salt. So here people started. So Gandhiji started his movement from Ahmedabad Sabarmati Ashram along with his 78 trusted volunteers, along with 78 supporters from Sabarmati Ashram of Ahmedabad to Dandi. On 6th April 1930, they reached Dandi. Here, a point I wish to highlight is that Gandhiji started with 78 trusted followers from Sabarmati Ashram of Ahmedabad, which is 240 miles away from Dandi. So daily they used to walk 10 miles. So in this way, it took 24 days to reach Dandi in the coast of Gujarat, that is Arabian Sea. And they reached there on 6th April 1930. A correction please. By mistake I have written 1919. Please make it 1930. They reached the coastal town of Dandi on 6th April 1930. There, after reaching, Gandhiji prepared salt. A question may be coming, how person could walk such a long distance? 1 mile is equal to 1.67 kilometer. 1 mile is equal to 1.67 kilometer. And Gandhiji walked a distance of 240 miles. This is really too long. So Gandhiji decided to end his daily journey before the sunset. So they used to stay in some village where the sun sets. That evening they used to have bhajan, kirtan, meetings in that village. They used to dine with the people of the village by begging, means bhikshavriti. In some villages, the villagers, being motivated, prepared their dinner, arranged their food, arranged for their rest. And in this movement, most people were women and old age people who joined this movement. The people refused to cooperate with the British government. People broke the law during this civil disobedience movement. Muslims participated in large numbers. Muslim participation was less in the civil disobedience movement. But what are the path people adopted? With the making of a law salt by Gandhiji on the coast of Dandi, the tribals broke the salt law. They entered into the forest to collect forest produce. The peasants refused to pay taxes to the British Jagirdars, and people all across the country started defying different civil laws. Now, these colonial laws were violated. Salt was manufactured in different places. So, question is, what the government was doing then? Did the government support such activities? No. So again I am repeating, Gandhiji started from Sabarmati Ashram with 78 followers, and he on 12th March 1930, they reached Dandi on 6th April 1930. Their journey was 24 days and 240 miles. So on an average they walked 10 miles a day. 1 mile is 1.67 kilometer. So after walking such a long distance, symbolically Gandhiji broke the salt law, made salt, and with this the breaking of civil laws started. On April 1930, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was arrested. While I was introducing this in my last class, some of my students asked, "Sir, इतने सारे लोग गए, पैदल गए, कैसे लौटे? बस में लौटे, गाड़ी करके लौटे, बैलगाड़ी में लौटे, कैसे लौटे? No, they did not come back. They all were arrested by the British colonial government. On May 30, Gandhiji was arrested. Women and children were beaten up by the government, and the peaceful satyagrahis were attacked. Around 1 lakh people were arrested from the coast of Dandi. From this, you can imagine the hugeness of this movement. Now, question may be then, what happened then? So, looking at the brutality of the Britishers and offer of the British, Gandhiji closed this movement in December 1931. He went to London for a roundtable conference. Now question is, what were the shortcomings of this civil disobedience movement? Why Gandhiji withdraw this civil disobedience movement? ये सफल क्यों नहीं हुआ? Why it could not be a success? Now coming to this, looking at the violent behavior of the British police, Gandhiji called off the movement and he signed a pact that is called as Gandhi-Irvine Pact. On 5th March 1931, Gandhiji signed a pact that is called Gandhi-Irvine Pact. With this Gandhi-Irvine Pact, Gandhiji called up the movement. As per the pact, Gandhiji agreed to participate in the roundtable conference to be held in London. And in lieu of it, the British government will release all those political prisoners except somewhere with criminal offense. So Gandhiji went to London in the year 1931. Now a great question is, what did Gandhiji achieve after going to London? Gandhiji returned empty-handed. Nothing could be materialized. Ultimately, Gandhiji returned to India, and in 1932 Gandhiji wanted to relaunch the movement, but he could not gain that momentum what was earlier. But now, coming to the failure part, actually this movement could not succeed because of many reasons were there. The first reason was that all those who participated in this movement, none of them participated with a motive of making India free. Everyone was having their own objective. So first of all, coming to the peasants, what the peasants thought of. The Dalits did not participate in the civil disobedience movement because they were not moved by the abstract concept of Swaraj. The farmers fought for Swaraj, for a struggle against high revenue. किसान को लगा कि इस मूवमेंट में भाग लेने के बाद शायद हमारा जो हाई टैक्सेशन है, रेवेन्यू है, वो कम हो जाएगा. Without revenue rates being revised, farmers were disappointed and dissatisfied and refused to participate in this movement. The small tenants, they wanted that the unpaid rent would be waived off. So looking that nothing is coming off, they also left the movement. Now coming to the the businessmen. What happened to the businessmen? The Indian merchants and the industrialists could grow their business during the British World War because British merchants were busy in their own country. So they were against those colonial policies that restricted the business activities. So they wanted protection against import, which was quite not possible. And they found that the Swaraj meant that this British businessman will left, and our Indian businessmen will have the monopoly. But they were apprehensive of the militant activities and the growing influence of socialism in our country. So they left the movement. Now coming to the industrial workers, what happened to them? Generally, these industrial workers, actually the industrialists were close to the Congress. Most of the Congresses or Congress leaders were close to the industrialists. Now, if this civil disobedience movement listens to the industrial workers, industrialists would be unhappy. And if they are listening to the industrialists, these industrial workers would be unhappy. So, looking at this condition, few of the industrial workers participated selectively. And now coming to the women participation. The greater credit goes to the women who participated hugely with a lesser personal interest. Most of the women were from high caste families in the urban areas and from rich peasant households in the rural areas. But the Congress was reluctant to give any position of authority to the women in its Congress hierarchy or in its organization. So Congress was just keen on symbolic presence of women. So कांग्रेस ये चाहता था कि महिलाएं बस सिंबल के तौर पर रहें, उनको कांग्रेस के इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस के ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कोई पोस्ट पदवी न दिया जाए. This really, though not disheartened, this was not an encouraging step of Congress. Had Congress given due place to the women workers in this movement could have attained a larger height. And this, the tribals also dissatisfied. So in this way, all those people who participated in this movement, they had their own interest. Nobody who participated were free from their vested interest. They were not with a motive to make India free. That was the reason our civil disobedience movement came to a failure. So women, the prime focus of this movement is that this movement, whatever success has attained, it is only because of the participation of women, huge number of women. So with this civil disobedience movement part comes to an end. Before winding off, let me review what we have read today. So my dear students, अभी तक हमने ये पढ़ा है कि सिविल डिसोबीडियंस मूवमेंट गांधी जी ने साबरमती आश्रम से अपनी मार्च शुरू की अपने 78 फॉलोअर के साथ. कहाँ जाना था दांडी, जो कि गुजरात के कोस्ट में है, अरेबियन सी के कोस्ट पे। डिस्टेंस 240 मील। कितने लोग थे? 78 लोग थे। लेकिन पहुंचे कितने लोग थे? लाखों लोग। इतनी बड़ी भीड़ आई कहाँ से? अपने पदयात्रा के रास्ते पर हर गांव पे रुके, जहां शाम ढली वहां रुके। रुकने के बाद लोगों के साथ वार्ता, लोगों के साथ भजन कीर्तन। विथ दिस द सपोर्ट ऑफ द पब्लिक इंक्रीज्ड, और लोग जुड़ते गए और ये आंदोलन बढ़ता चला गया। अब हमारे इस लेसन का जो लास्ट पार्ट है, सेंस ऑफ कलेक्टिव बिलोंगिंगनेस, इसको पढ़ेंगे बाद में। उससे पहले हम बात करना चाहते हैं, जब मान लीजिए हमारे सामने किसी भी चौराहे पे एक बच्ची साड़ी पहने, तिरंगा हाथ में लिए खड़ी रहे, तुरंत हमारे मन में एक छवि आता है। An image comes to our mind, and that image is Bharat Mata. Whenever any of us comes across our national anthem, national songs, we all used to have the same feeling, that is our respect to our nation, that is called the spirit of nationalism. We are in the cinema hall. Whenever national anthem starts, no one asks us to stand up. We all show moto stands and respects. We sing the national anthem with full spirit. Who has asked us? No one. This is our strength, that is called unity. That is called sense of collective belongingness. ये गीत हम सबका है, ये देश हम सबका है। हम चाहे किसी भी मजहब से हो, हम चाहे जेंडर में अलग हो, हम चाहे कलर में अलग हो, हम चाहे किसी भी रूप से किसी से अलग हो, लेकिन द इमेज ऑफ भारत माता इज सेम टू ऑल ऑफ अस. द नेशनल एंथम इज सेम टू ऑल ऑफ अस. द नेशनल सिंबल इज सेम टू ऑल ऑफ अस. The national animal, national flower, national emblems, all this is same to us. So here we have used allegory, means some symbols जो हमारे दिल में देशभक्ति जगाता है. जब भगत सिंह फांसी के लिए जा रहा था, उसने भी गाना गाया, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला. Any of us who has come across this song might have felt something. That feeling is the love for your motherland. That feeling is nationalism. So Bande Mataram, the national song, was written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay during the Swadeshi movement of Bengal, and different artists projected their own version of Bharat Mata along with this folklores. The folklores, many nationalist leaders took help of these folk tales to develop the idea of nationalism. Veer Surendra Sai, Birsa Munda, these are some of the our heroes, freedom fighters. When we come across their stories, it gives us a sense, and that sense is sense of nationalism, sense of patriotism, sense of a duty towards my nation. Then comes the national flag, the tricolor, that is used during the Swadeshi movement. It was different from now, and it was designed in the 1921. So, my dear students, so this national flag, folklores, national song, national anthem, symbol of Bharat Mata, image of Bharat Mata, these are some of the symbols which binds us, unites us, gives us a common feeling that we are one. Develop a sense of ownership, that is, we are Indian. This sense of collective belongingness is the sense of nationalism. So, my dear students, with this, I am winding up this lesson of nationalism in India. So, the Congress, under the leadership of Gandhiji, channelized the movements, organized the movements, and through these movements,